14 years. I mean, it's such a long time for a video game franchise this big to be completely dark.
It's a lifetime in gaming, and it all goes back to 007 Legends in 2012, which was, well, it was a disappointment.
A huge disappointment.
Yeah.
It really felt like the license to kill for games had been, permanently revoked.
It did. It felt like a surrender, but now it's back, and it's coming from a studio that, frankly, feels like the perfect fit for Bond IO Interactive.
The Hitman developers. Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack all the sources on their new project, 007 First Light.
Right, and this is not just another game. It's a complete origin story, built from the ground up.
We're going to look at the premise, how they even convinced Eon to give them the license, and the whole road to its confirmed launch date, which is May 27, 2026.
That's the date, May 27th. And this is a proper next-gen title built on their own Glacier engine. We're talking PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Windows, and even the new Nintendo Switch 2.
It's a big swing. So let's start with the character himself. IO Interactive took a massive creative license here, didn't they? They're moving away from any of the film actors.
A total clean break. The James Bond we're meeting is young. He's 26 years old, played by Patrick Gibson.
And he's inexperienced. The sources actually describe him as sometimes reckless.
Exactly. He's not the polished super spy yet. He starts as a Royal Navy air crewman who gets recruited into MI6.
Which I find really interesting. It grounds him. The skills aren't all there yet.
Right. The entire story, the whole game, is about the one mission he has to complete to finally earn that zero-day status, to get his license to kill.
We've seen bits of that in the films, of course, but making the journey the entire story, that's new.
It is, and it's a completely original standalone story. It's not an adaptation of Casino Royale or anything else.
Which is a huge deal. I mean, you have to go all the way back to Agent Under Fire in 2001 for a mainline Bond game that wasn't tied to a specific actor's likeness.
And that independence gives them so much creative freedom. The art director, Rasmus Poulsen, said it was essential for updating the character for today.
For a modern audience.
For a modern audience, yeah. They don't want the baggage that comes with the old cinematic versions.
But isn't there a risk there? If you make him younger and you scrub out some of those, let's call them iconic but dated traits, are you losing what makes him Bond?
That's the tightrope they have to walk. And the sources show they're very aware of it. They specifically said they wanted to avoid the outdated aspects.
Like the sexism?
Explicitly. They called out the sexist attitudes toward women in past entries. They're aiming for a character whose charm comes from his wit and resourcefulness, not from those old, frankly problematic tropes.
That makes a lot of sense. But let's rewind a bit. How did IO Interactive even get this license? After a 14-year hiatus, Eon Productions was not exactly eager to make more games.
Not at all. The hiatus started in 2013, right after Activision's license expired. And 007 Legends had been such a critical and commercial failure. Eon felt the games had just become generic shooters.
They lost the espionage.
They lost the soul of the character. So IO Interactive comes along while they're finishing up Hitman 3, and they pitch Eon, when Eon explicitly said they were not looking for a game.
So what was the pitch that worked?
It was sophistication. It was the Hitman philosophy. The CEO, Hakan Abrak, basically pointed to their games and said, look, in our worlds, violence is messy. It's often the wrong answer.
Ah, I see. They sold them on the intelligence, the stealth, the systems, not just another linear corridor shooter.
Precisely. They showed them what modern espionage gameplay could look like. You spend hours planning, you use disguises, you find non-lethal solutions. It's a thinking man's action game.
And that must have been music to Eon's ears after years of generic action tie-ins.
It had to be. And IOI came with huge ambition. Abrak has said they see 007 First Light as the potential start of a trilogy.
Just like their Hitman, World of Assassination trilogy.
Exactly. They want to create a young Bond for gamers that we can grow with. That signals a real long-term commitment.
Okay, that sets the stage for the gameplay perfectly.
Yeah.
So if the DNA is Hitman, how do you translate that quiet, precise stealth into the explosive action we still expect from James Bond?
It's a balance. The sources are clear. It's a third-person action venture, but it's built around what they call the creative approach.
Let's define that. What is the creative approach?
In a nutshell, it's sandbox design. Think of the missions as these huge, intricate playgrounds, just like in Hitman.
So it's about player choice.
Ultimate player choice. You can go silent or go loud. You can use brute force, or you can use cunning and guile, or even just bluff your way through situations. It's a world away from the old on-rails Bond games.
But it's still Bond.
Yeah.
There has to be some spectacle. The sources we have mention some pretty high-octane action sequences.
Oh, absolutely. They describe the first mission. It starts as pure Hitman. You're sneaking into this heavily guarded hotel in Slovakia.
Classic espionage stuff.
Total classic espionage. But then it just explodes. It turns into a high-speed car chase, then a massive shootout at an airstrip, and it ends with these really acrobatic sequences, like fighting guys on the outside of a moving plane.
I saw that comparison. They said the climax, where Bond jumps off a plane without a parachute, has the flair of something like Uncharted 3.
Yes, that's the formula right there. You plan like Agent 47, but you escape like Nathan Drake. It's that careful setup, followed by the inevitable glorious chaos.
And chaos needs gadgets. What's in Q's latest kit?
We have confirmation on a couple of key items. There's an unreleased Omega watch that acts as a multi-tool, and the upcoming Aston Martin Valhalla, fully Q modified, of course.
Valhalla. That is some serious hardware.
Yeah.
What about Bond's actual abilities? Does he have any special mechanics?
He does. There's a system called Instinct. It sort of slows down time, not quite bullet time, but enough to let you focus.
So it's an intelligence overlay.
That's a great way to put it. It helps you scan the environment, spot enemy weak points, find escape routes. It's their way of making the player feel like they have Bond's incredible situational awareness.
Which brings us to the world he lives in. The supporting cast, we've got the classic MI6 roles, but with all new faces.
All reimagined. Priyanka Burford is playing M, Alistair Mackenzie is Q, and Keira Lester is Miss Moneypenny. And they're all positioned as his mentors during these very early years.
But IOI also created some original characters for this story.
Yes, two really important ones. Lenny James plays John Greenway, who's Bond's main MI6 mentor. And then there's Dr. Selena Tam, played by Gemma Chan, who is supposedly critical in helping him earn his Zero status.
A great cast. And every Bond story needs a great villain. They went very, very high profile here.
They absolutely did. The main antagonist is a character named Boma, and he's being played by Lenny Kravitz.
Lenny Kravitz. As a Bond villain, that's a choice that will get people talking.
And I think that's the point. It brings in a huge audience from outside of just gaming.
So what do we know about Boma?
The description is fantastic. He's a wild, unpredictable pirate ruler of Africa's biggest black market hub. He's built his own kingdom called Aleph.
That sounds incredible.
And Kravitz himself said the character has danger, but also heart and purpose. So we're not just getting a one-dimensional megalomaniac. It sounds like he'll have some real depth.
All of this ambition, the new engine, the story, it makes sense that they needed a bit more time. Let's talk about the final road to that May 27, 2026 release. There was a delay, right?
There was, a small one. The original date was March 27th, but they pushed it back 2 months to May 27th.
And they were upfront about it. Said they needed time for additional polish and refinement.
Yeah, they called it their most ambitious project to date, which, coming from the team that made the Hitman trilogy, is saying something.
And when you look at the PC specs they released, you can kind of see why they need that extra time. Recommended specs are... They're a bit confusing.
They definitely raise an eyebrow. The minimums are fine, pretty forgiving. But the recommended specs for 1080p at 60 frames per second are huge. We're talking 32 gigs of RAM and 12 gigs of VRAM.
But wait, the card they list, the RTX 3060 Ti,
Yeah.
that card only has 8 gigs of VRAM.
Exactly. And that little contradiction is the tell. It strongly suggests the game is built to rely on upscaling tech, like NVIDIA's DLSS 4, probably with frame generation.
So the upgraded Glacier engine is just that demanding. They're pushing these new particle and cloud effects that just eat VRAM.
That's the takeaway. They are prioritizing pushing the visual boundaries, which justifies that 2-month delay. They need the time to optimize it all.
And there's one last really important piece of context here, a big corporate shift behind the scenes.
A massive one. Amazon MGM Studios now has supervisory duties over the game. This happened after Amazon acquired the full creative rights to the entire Bond IP from Eon.
So this is the first Bond project of any kind, film, game, whatever, to be released under Amazon's full control.
Yes, and that has huge implications for the future.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. If 007 First Light is a hit, Amazon controls the whole creative universe. They could integrate this version of Bond, these characters, maybe even the actor Patrick Gibson, into a TV show or the next film reboot.
A completely unified Bond universe across all media.
It's the launch of a new era. This game is the first step.
So to sum it all up,
Oh.
007 First Light, dropping May 27, 2026, is this monumental return for Bond in gaming. It's a fresh origin story from the stealth masters at IO Interactive, giving us a younger, more modern hero.
It's a game built on their creative approach sandbox philosophy. You can be cunning, you can be explosive, you're using Q's gadgets and Bond's own instinct to navigate these huge, visually stunning levels.
And the big takeaway is that this is a Bond designed specifically for gamers to call their own and grow with. It's completely separate from the films.
Which brings us to the final question, really. They're avoiding all the old tropes, the movie star likeness, the outdated attitudes. So will this self-aware original story launching on May 27th finally be the thing that lets the Bond video game franchise earn its own independent legacy? That's what we're all waiting to find out.